I'm so happy to announce my new album Happy Together, created during a time when my orchestra and I were finally able to reunite and play together again. However, amid this joyful news, another heartbreaking wave has struck Hollywood. André Rieu's son has revealed devastating news about the beloved maestro. For over 50 years, André, known as the King of the Waltz, has enchanted audiences across the globe with his unforgettable music and charm. But after a series of cancelled shows, fans began to grow concerned. Rumors about his health began spreading quickly, though nothing had been confirmed until now. His son, visibly shaken, has finally broken the silence and confirmed the worst. What serious health battle is André Rieu now facing? Could this signal the end of a legendary era in classical music? Stay with us as we uncover the emotional details behind André Rieu's tragic diagnosis and the heartfelt farewell from his son. A familiar battle has returned. For decades, André Rieu has amazed global audiences with his grand performances and infectious passion for music. As the heart and soul behind the Johann Strauss Orchestra, his concerts have been nothing short of magical, drawing fans across generations. However, behind these awe-inspiring performances, the Dutch violinist has also struggled with serious health challenges, ones that nearly ended his career. Back in 2010, it was reported that Rieu had never taken a single day off due to illness. He even claimed he didn't suffer from jet lag, an extraordinary feat for someone constantly flying across continents. But all of that changed one night during a holiday in Belgium. At 3 a.m., Rieu was reportedly jolted awake by an overwhelming sensation of dizziness. He described the room as spinning uncontrollably, leaving him disoriented. At first, he didn't understand what was happening. The following morning, he reportedly felt broken. In the days leading up to this episode, Rieu had overloaded his schedule with work and stress. He had rushed to complete a DVD production, started taking intensive Spanish lessons in preparation for upcoming concerts in Mexico, and endured extreme heat, all in a matter of days. Reflecting on that period, he supposedly admitted he operated only in two modes, full throttle or complete stop. Though Rieu once believed that happiness and mental strength could shield him from illness, this alarming incident forced him to reconsider. Doctors later diagnosed him with a vestibular nerve infection, a condition that affects the inner ear and disrupts the body's balance system. This illness, which can be triggered even by a common cold, left him feeling dizzy and nauseous every time he tried to stand. Despite initially downplaying its seriousness, Rieu was eventually forced to cancel entire tours in both Australia and the UK. Taking 6 months off was unimaginable for him, not only due to his deep love for performing but also because of the financial responsibility he bore for his large team. To rule out more dangerous conditions, Rieu had to undergo a brain scan to check for issues like a tumor. Fortunately, no additional problems were found. Still, determined to recover, he explored various treatment options and even considered suggestions from his fans online. One fan from Australia reportedly sent him a letter recommending specific balance training exercises, which Rieu practiced religiously. These included walking in figure eights, controlled eye movements, and standing on one leg with his eyes closed. According to Rieu, these exercises worked wonders, and after 3 months, he was feeling healthy again. His recovery also prompted a significant lifestyle change. Rieu took time to reflect on his responsibilities and realized that many of the tasks he had taken on outside of music, like administrative duties, business openings, and academic talks, were draining his energy. He reportedly created 2 lists, one of the things he loved and one of the things he didn't. Unsurprisingly, the first list was short and revolved around music. The second list was much longer, and he made a conscious decision to eliminate those stressors from his life. From that moment on, he claimed to structure his life around joy, passion, and well-being. Medical experts have noted that vestibular neuritis typically resolves within a few weeks, though in a small percentage of cases, it can recur. Rieu was aware of this risk and recognized that stress could be a major trigger. As a result, he committed himself to focusing only on what he truly loved and made protecting his health a top priority moving forward. Now, years later, troubling news has resurfaced. His son has recently revealed that Rieu is once again facing a serious health scare. This revelation has stirred concern among fans and brought back painful memories of his earlier ordeal. Could this be another relapse, or something even more serious? What exactly is André Rieu battling now? The worst fear has become a reality. Everything had been perfectly planned. André Rieu and his orchestra had triumphantly returned to Mexico after a 6-year absence, and fans were ecstatic. The excitement was palpable. Concerts were sold out, and the first 2 performances in Mexico City went smoothly. But less than 24 hours after the second show, disaster struck. André suddenly fell ill. What many had feared was quickly confirmed: he had contracted a strong flu accompanied by a high fever and total exhaustion. The tour could not continue. The remaining concerts had to be cancelled. His son, Pierre Rieu, later shared the full story. He explained that the long international flight, the dramatic time difference, and the high altitude of Mexico City made the experience physically overwhelming from the very beginning. André had only 1 day to rest before his first performance, and it simply wasn't enough. The combination of all these factors hit him hard and fast. And his body simply couldn't take it. What began as mere discomfort rapidly escalated into something far more serious. Pierre Rieu, André's son, admitted that calling off the tour wasn't an easy decision. But when André became seriously ill, there was no other option. The team had to act fast and fly him home. For fans, the news was devastating. Many had waited years for this moment, and every concert had been meticulously prepared down to the smallest detail. Yet it wasn't just the audience that felt the loss. The entire crew was crushed. Pierre stated that while everyone was disappointed, health had to take priority. The fear that something could go wrong had always been in the background, but now, it had become all too real. André remained very ill for several days, barely able to do anything. It was a deeply worrying time. Eventually, he began to feel better, but it took nearly a full week before he truly felt like himself again. Despite everything, he maintained his signature spirit. "Yeah, I think it's possible to have fun also in classical music," he once said. "I think always why a guy like Mozart, still, the scare was enough to change how the team approached long-distance tours going forward." Pierre explained that if they were to return to Mexico, it wouldn't be before 2025. They would need more time to rest, better planning, and a more cautious approach with fewer risks. What made this particular incident even more concerning was André's age. At 74, long flights and rapid turnarounds are harder than ever. Pierre was candid: traveling halfway across the world simply isn't the same anymore. Places like Australia, once part of regular touring schedules, now seem almost impossible to reach. He joked that people often compare André to younger performers or athletes, but pointed out that his father isn't 30 anymore. The body has limits, and pushing those limits could lead to something far worse. Backstage after the second concert, André had still been in good spirits, smiling and soaking in the moment. But even then, he had quietly confided to his wife that he wasn't sure he could manage such a tour again. His body had been sending signals, and this time, it spoke louder than ever. The worst had been confirmed. Pushing through was no longer an option. If André wanted to continue performing music, he had to listen to his body, rest when needed, and slow down. Even as Rieu faced his own physical limits, the strain extended to his entire team. Could the high altitude and harsh conditions be wearing everyone out? It seemed so. The challenges weren't his alone. Performing at an altitude of over 2,000 meters was demanding for everyone. With thinner oxygen, the toll was real. Donna Alberti, one of the lead singers touring with Rieu since January, admitted she could feel it during rehearsals. Her face would flush red, and nosebleeds became common among the team. She laughed about it, but didn't hide how tough it was. During her performance of I Will Survive, she had to pause to drink water just to get through the song. Pierre expressed immense pride in his father for knowing when to say enough was enough. Cancelling the shows had been a hard decision, but collapsing on stage would have been a tragedy. And it wasn't just André who was impacted. Around 40,000 fans were let down, and a crew of 125 people had to return home early. The sudden shift caused chaos, refunds, cancelled flights, and lost merchandise sales. To make matters worse, the group wasn't even insured for such an incident. Emma, another performer, revealed that she went from singing for 10,000 people to being told the tour was over the very next day. Even walking down the street, fans continued to ask for photos, many not knowing it might have been their last chance to see Rieu perform in Mexico. The energy at the venue had been unforgettable. The area outside transformed into a bustling market full of unofficial Rieu merchandise, mugs, teddy bears, t-shirts. André had laughed about it during the concert. The crowd chanted his name, and he shared, "I experience that every night. People write me, it took me 2 weeks to come down after your concert." Even when he asked them to go home during encores, the audience shouted no, until he played again. There had been no hint of what was coming. And yet, it all came to a sudden, heartbreaking stop. Back in Maastricht, resting and recovering, André focused on his health. Pierre expressed hope for their next concert in Liverpool, but acknowledged that Mexico may have just witnessed Rieu's final performance there. André's earlier words, "I just want to stay healthy so I can keep doing this," now echoed like a quiet warning of what was to come. Unfortunately, this wasn't the first time André's crew had been impacted by the stress of his demanding schedule. When was the first time this happened? A heartbreaking loss. André Rieu had once acknowledged that stress could dangerously affect his health. After battling a severe inner ear infection in the past brought on by overwork, he vowed to focus only on what he loved, music. For a time, he seemed to uphold that promise. But recent events have stirred fresh concerns and drawn eerie comparisons to a past scare that once shocked his global fanbase. Back in 2016, fans were deeply alarmed when Rieu abruptly cancelled several tour dates. The news set off wild speculation, with many assuming the beloved violinist was seriously ill once again. Given his medical history, such fears didn't seem far-fetched. Rumors of a relapse spread like wildfire. But it was later revealed that the cancellations were not due to Rieu's own health. Instead, one of his trusted orchestra members had passed away. The emotional weight of that loss was too heavy to bear, and André needed time to grieve. Still, by then, the false rumors had already taken root. Now, nearly a decade after his own health breakdown and years after the emotional 2016 incident, something similar has occurred once more. Earlier today, it was announced that André Rieu's sold-out concert at the Motorpoint Arena in Nottingham, UK, had been postponed. "I'm very honored," he once said. "You know, music has a healing power." The reason for the postponement, a member of the Johann Strauss Orchestra suffered a heart attack early that morning. According to a statement from his production company, Rieu was devastated by the emergency and profoundly saddened to cancel the show. The musician who fell ill remains in critical condition in hospital. Fans were asked for patience and understanding during this difficult period. A new date for the concert will be announced once the situation stabilizes. Though the cancellation wasn't due to Rieu's personal health, many fans immediately grew concerned. Given his history, some began to wonder whether the emotional toll of such a traumatic event could trigger another health crisis for the world-renowned maestro. After all, the Johann Strauss Orchestra isn't just a group of musicians to Rieu, it's his extended family on the road. This moment feels especially haunting to longtime fans, who remember all too well how quickly concern turned to panic during the 2016 tour. With a string of health scares behind him, André Rieu has made a deeply personal decision, one born out of experience and self-preservation. What decision has he made? André Rieu has chosen to slow the tempo. After just 2 performances in Mexico, he had to cancel the remaining shows and return home to Maastricht. And with that, a new chapter quietly begins, one that honors his passion for music, but also listens to the warnings of a body that has given the world more than its fair share of beauty. André Rieu, the music slowed down. The world knew André Rieu as the maestro who made classical music feel like magic, waltzing his way across global stages with the vigor of a man half his age. But even the most enduring legends have moments when reality strikes. What began as a dream tour through Mexico turned into something far more sobering, a harsh reminder that time waits for no one, not even the king of Waltz. It started innocently enough. The concerts were sold out. Fans waited years for this moment. The lights, the costumes, every violin tuned to perfection. But behind the scenes, André's body was sending quiet signals. His legs were shaking, his breathing more labored than usual, and what started as discomfort soon became something much worse. Pierre, his son and trusted spokesperson, later admitted the decision hadn't come easily. But when André became seriously ill after just 2 performances, there was no other choice. The team had to act fast. André Rieu was flown home, mid-tour, mid-dream. For the fans, it was devastating. The anticipation, the travel, the preparation, all crumbled in an instant. The entire crew was crushed. Everyone was disappointed, Pierre said, but health had to come first. The fear of something going wrong had always lingered in the background, but now it had become painfully real. Back in his home city of Maastricht, André remained seriously ill for several days. He could barely get out of bed. His team watched and waited, uncertain if the maestro would recover fully. Thankfully, after nearly a week of rest, he began to feel like himself again. But something had changed. "I think it's possible to have fun also in classical music," André once said. And that joy was always his compass. But this scare, this sudden collapse in health, forced the entire organization to rethink everything. Pierre explained that if they ever returned to Mexico, it wouldn't be before 2025 at the earliest. The toll had simply been too great. More rest, more planning, fewer risks. That was the new motto. And what made this incident even more serious was André's age. At 74, globe-trotting wasn't what it used to be. The long flights, the time zone shocks, the high altitudes, these weren't just inconveniences anymore. They were threats. People often compared André to younger performers or athletes, but Pierre pointed out the obvious: my father isn't 30 anymore. And the body, no matter how disciplined, has limits. Backstage after his second concert in Mexico, André smiled and soaked up the energy, but later, in a quiet moment with his wife Marjorie, he confided that he wasn't sure he could do this again. The strain wasn't only on him. Dona Alberti, one of his lead singers, revealed how hard it was to perform at over 2,000 meters above sea level. Less oxygen, more stress. She laughed about the nosebleeds and flushed skin, but behind the humor was truth. During her rendition of I Will Survive, she had to stop mid-song for water. The conditions were brutal. André's entire team felt it. 40,000 fans were let down. 125 crew members flown home early. Merchandise unsold. Refunds processed in haste. Worse still, the group wasn't even insured for this kind of cancellation. Emma, another performer, described going from singing to a packed arena one night to learning the tour was over the next morning. Even walking down the street, fans approached Rieu asking for photos, many unaware they may have just missed his final show in Mexico. The crowds had been electric. Outside the venue, a full market bloomed with unofficial André Rieu mugs, bears, and t-shirts. "It took me 2 weeks to come down after your concert," fans would write. During the encore, when André asked them to go home, they begged for more. No one saw what was coming. Back in Maastricht, resting and reflecting, André focused on recovery. Pierre said they remained hopeful for the next concert in Liverpool. But even if the show goes on, it's clear now, the globe-hopping tours may be nearing an end. This wasn't the first time stress had overwhelmed the orchestra. In 2016, André had cancelled several shows, sparking widespread panic. Fans feared another health crisis. Rumors spread like wildfire. But that time, the cause wasn't his health, it was the sudden death of one of his beloved orchestra members. André was devastated. The man who rarely missed a beat needed time to grieve. Now, history has repeated itself in a haunting way. Earlier today, André's sold-out concert at the Motorpoint Arena in Nottingham was postponed again, not because of his own health, but because a member of the Johann Strauss Orchestra suffered a heart attack that morning. The man remains in critical condition. André was reportedly heartbroken, shaken to the core. And fans, remembering the past, worried again, would this emotional burden spark another relapse? the Johann Strauss Orchestra isn't just a musical ensemble. It's his road family. And the pain runs deep. After Mexico, André realized something he never wanted to admit. He might need to slow down. He returned home to his wife, and the truth became clear: trying to make up for the lost concerts was out of the question. Though always proud of his health, tennis, jogging, a clean diet, André had to face a hard truth. His legs trembled. The flu had hit hard. The air was thin. And the fear of collapsing mid-performance forced his hand. Pierre confirmed it. His father had often played with a fever. He once performed sick without letting the audience know. But this time, it was too much. For concerts were cancelled. Tens of thousands disappointed. And no make-up dates planned. Rieu told his team he wouldn't put himself through this kind of torture again. Australia? Mexico? These might now be out of reach. While some South American shows remain on the calendar, the team is rethinking every future tour. No more rushing. No more risking. Just 1 year at a time. Yet, for fans willing to travel, his magical summer concerts in Maastricht remain the crown jewel. Held in Vrijthof Square, many say they're the best shows he gives. A home stage. A safe stage. But giving up travel is hard. "I just want to stay healthy so I can keep doing this," he once said. And that warning now echoes like prophecy. During his illness, André admitted how much he needed his work. Not playing made him feel restless. "Staying home made me feel even crazier," he confessed. To protect his health, André has since cut back on non-essential commitments, fewer interviews, fewer press events. Overloading his schedule can trigger an inner ear issue he's battled for 20 years. When it flares, the room spins. The stage becomes impossible. But with caution, he believes he can still play. Just more slowly. With more care. So what does André value most now? From his castle in Maastricht, he once told a reporter, "I still have too much to experience to spend my life on a cruise ship." Retirement? Not yet. He takes only one modest vacation a year, a short break in Rome with his family. Everything else? Music. This isn't just an orchestra. It's my orchestra. I built it. It's my life's work. Despite his age, André joked that he was only halfway through his life, planning to live until 140. His mind still brims with tour ideas. But even he admits, the realization hit hard. He struggles to sleep after concerts, a dangerous problem. During the COVID lockdowns, he called the stillness torture. That's when he took up baking. At night, when the restlessness grew, he watched baking tutorials on his phone. It became a new hobby, one he even shared on social media. He appeared on Heel Holland Bakt, the Dutch version of the Great British Bake Off. Fans joked about a career switch, but André was quick to shut it down. "Nothing replaces music," he said. "I only play music that touches my heart." So where does that leave us now? André Rieu has fully recovered from his recent illness. But the experience changed everything. The dream of touring places like Australia or Mexico isn't over, but it's uncertain. He may never again fly halfway across the world for a whirlwind performance. But if he must slow down, he will. Not because the music has faded, but because he wants it to last. And maybe, just maybe, some of the most beautiful concerts still lie ahead, not across oceans, but in the heart of Maastricht, where the maestro plays on.